Kid Richardson and Antoine.
People in our community are 5 times more likely to be sent to prison. But we can change that by voting for Issue 4. Issue 4 is an initiative to reform Arkansas's drug laws. It will safely legalize cannabis, but only in small amounts, and only for adults over 21. So fewer people end up in jail or with a criminal record for a petty marijuana arrest, because one mistake shouldn't last a lifetime.
Paid for by Responsible Growth Arkansas.
Man, I'm so excited about that, man. You mean to tell, I don't even smoke. I don't smoke. I smoke turkeys, chicken, pork butts, ribs. I don't smoke marijuana, cannabis, or whatever. But to know that my homeboys, my little cousins, whoever, my nephews, whoever smoke, they ain't got to worry about being, hey, boy, what you doing with that weed? They don't have to worry about having that hanging over their head now.
That's right.
So
If
I can appreciate that.
If it passes.
If that passes, I can appreciate that. So I want to tell all my folks to make sure you get out and vote for 4. Vote for 4. That's what I was saying. We're going to vote for 4. What's up, baby? This your boy Big Day with the Real Underground Radio Station. This NATELOGIC, baby. Hey, man, listen, y'all better listen to me. You don't listen to nothing else I tell you, better vote for 4, baby. Listen, man, listen. Hey, this is the Real Underground Radio Station. I got some real, it's voting season. It's election season. It's time for us to get out there and let our voices be heard. Listen, man, if you ain't voting, you must be choking. I don't know what you want if you ain't voting. If you're not voting in today's elections, you're allowing somebody else to make the laws, make the rules for your home, for your life, and everything else. That's just how I feel about it. You might as well let me run your house if you ain't voting.
That's right.
You might as well let old Nate come run your house if you ain't gonna vote. You letting somebody else run it. At least I'm gonna run it. You don't get a good meal out of me out of here. I'm gonna tell you, listen, man. Right here in today's election, right now, you're going to pick the next police chief of police. That's just in Little Rock. You are going to pick the next chief of police. Now, old Steve Landers, who's homeboys with and excuse me, I'm not speaking for nobody else but me, and maybe a few folks who look like me, and who would be affected by the laws that we would be affected by. Steve Landers, now he can sell you a car, but I don't know if he can pick a chief of police. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he gonna pick, and he cool with the FOP. And if you cool with the FOP, you ain't cool with me, man. I'm sorry. The FOP is the biggest gang in the world.
Very powerful.
You want to talk about the Bloods, the Crips? Talk about the FOP. They got bodies. Mm-hmm. FOP got bodies. Mm-hmm. They done caught some flack. But because we back the blue, we ride with the FOP. Or they play in the shadows as if they ain't been infiltrated. Mm-hmm. Any any politician who has a contract with the FOP or who's cool with the endorsement from the FOP, I got side eyes. If you have an endorsement from the FOP and the NRA, I got side eyes for you. Because, see, the NRA, in my opinion, is complicit in the deaths of a lot of young black boys.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, based on the fact that we hold these opioid companies accountable for making their drugs, they killed a lot of people. Even the state of Arkansas got some of that money. Yeah. So I'm wondering if we can hold private companies for opioid making, for making opioids, dope, opioids, whatever you want to call it. If we can hold them accountable, why we can't hold gun companies accountable?
Politics.
That's just something to make you go, Osyrus, that's something to make you think.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got Osyrus Bolly. Big brother loves you. Big brother Oh, Bolly. Oh, I'm sorry. Osyrus Bolly. Big brother Bolly.
What's up, Nate?
What's up with it, brother? One of
just
my
here.
favorite people, man. I love to sit down and talk with you about everything. I got my unconquerable, amazing hat in the game.
Oh, yeah.
2 feet in it.
Oh, yeah. 10 toes down.
10 toes down for her people.
You better believe it.
Sister Kymara. Hey, man, I'm so happy to have y'all back, man.
Oh, glad to be here.
You know,
Glad to be here.
when we were here last time, you guys said you'd be here and we'd go over the things that we need to be doing. Mm-hmm. Now's the time.
It's the time.
Yep.
Early voting is underway. I hope
Early voting is
all
underway.
of your listeners have voted early. Don't wait till election day.
No, don't wait.
Don't
ahead,
wait.
Get up
Go
and make
on
that work.
because you know if it rains, if it snows,
Whatever it do,
if it hails,
you still got to get out there and do it.
yeah, people are less likely to go on election day if we got weather events. So that's why we encourage people to vote early. In Arkansas, we have 2 weeks of early voting, and we have 2 Saturdays, and the polls are open. I mean, your courthouse, wherever you vote early, is open from 10 to 4 on Saturday to early vote. So please vote early. Y'all, there's so much at stake in this election. And I want to just start with the governor's race. I mean, this is, we have an opportunity. Let's put it that way.
I agree.
We are closer now than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And we have an opportunity to elect this black man who is a physicist, a doctor, PhD,
Extremely intelligent.
minister, extremely, rocket scientist, and
Philanthropist.
yes. So we have an opportunity, but we have got to vote. Our households have got to vote.
We have to have turnout.
Chris Jones, that's what we're talking about. We got to have turnout.
We got to have turnout. We got to turn out for Chris, good old Pine Bluff boy.
Yep, that's right.
We got to turn out for Chris. And like, I'll say this, I'm a little perturbed by his cousin running.
His cousin.
Yeah, because those 3 or 4 points.
Oh, yeah.
Those 3 or 4 points going to hurt.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
It's frustrating because you know that you're not going to win.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was his cousin.
No, I was joking.
It's not his cousin.
Oh, I was like, man,
Y'all
it's get detailed.
No, it ain't his
Yeah.
No, for clarity, him and Ricky Dale are not.
Right.
Is it Ricky Dale Harrington?
Yeah.
Or is it Ricky
Yeah.
Harrington?
Ricky Dale Harrington, yeah.
Ricky Dale
Yeah.
Harrington. I've heard a lot of great things about him, but
It ain't his time.
Yeah, I personally feel at this point right now, I understand you have a point you're trying to prove, but at what cost?
Right.
You know, at what cost are we trying to prove this point? We're going to get somebody who has a track record of lying,
Right.
who has a track record of no service.
None.
And I hate to say this, and I don't mean this begrudgingly, this lady has stage 3 cancer right now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
I'm almost positive she was just diagnosed with cancer.
Okay. I'm going to take your word for it.
I could be, and if I'm wrong, then, take my biscuits.
All right.
If I'm wrong, but I'm almost,
Well,
that's
yeah, I do
Googleable.
know she did have.
She
did have surgery. Now,
if she had removed and they found out that she was in remission, glory be to God.
Remember, yeah.
But
Yeah. Okay.
this is a stressful position
Yeah. Yeah.
for a first-time person. Even though you were in office for a little bit, or not,
in office.
you weren't in office. You were
Spokesperson.
Yeah,
a
press
spokesperson, a
secretary.
press secretary,
secretary, yeah.
and wasn't a good one.
Of course not.
Let's just keep it a buck.
Right.
A press secretary, she counseled. They didn't have regular office meetings. She didn't report well, and she ended up quitting. Bottom line,
Yeah.
Right.
you knew what you signed up for when you signed up, but you quit.
Right.
You knew he was a liar. You knew people didn't like him. You signed up for it, and you quit. So what happens when you sign up for this and you quit?
Mm-hmm.
You stop governing. You stop leading. And to be honest with you, I've yet to see her speak to anyone outside of her group.
Yeah, she doesn't travel the state of Arkansas like Chris Jones.
She doesn't have
she's
to.
not a personable.
She don't live here.
Yeah, she don't. Right, she doesn't live here.
She don't live here.
She don't even live in Arkansas?
If you notice, every time she's speaking in Arkansas, it's an announcement because she's getting here to speak. So she if she live here, she part-time live here.
So when she win, she'll. Is she setting this up to come back and run for office one day, or to run for Senate?
Shoot, I'm probably to run for president.
Possibly.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Privilege is something.
It's privilege is something. Yeah, I'm sure it's to run
Privilege
for president.
is something.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
no shots at none of my people from Wichita. Shout out to the Qs there. But this lady got a degree from Wichita Baptist.
Washington.
Washita
Baptist.
And that's where it ends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
That's where it ends. Nothing against anyone from Washita. Mm-hmm. Not Wichita, Washita.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against my people from Washita.
Right.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
This brother has several degrees and doctorates.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And service.
Didn't he, I want to say he was one of the people who started the before he started running. What was he doing?
He was, believe the director at the Arkansas Innovation Hub.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he started that, wasn't he the first director?
Yeah,
I think yeah.
And look at the amazing things that Arkansas, the Innovation Hub is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
That's right.
Amazing things. He started that. The first director.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the governor. Then we got senator. Who all we got running for senator?
Well, for U.S. Senate, we have we've got two that are contested. You've got the fourth congressional. Oh no, fourth. Oh, that's congressional. I'm sorry. So for Senate, of course, John Bozeman is running for re-election. Then you got Natalie James.
Shout out Nat.
Who's doing an amazing job.
She is, isn't she?
She's doing amazingly well, and I'm not surprised. I'm just happy for her.
Hey,
I'm happy.
Man, she's really doing her thing. I'm excited for her.
She's all over the state.
She's moving around.
Yeah,
she's really
she's
taking this and really said, I want to do something.
Yeah.
So you got to appreciate that.
Yep.
You really got to appreciate that.
And appreciate her for getting out there and putting herself out.
Right.
You know,
it
takes a lot.
Nobody say, hey,
you're right.
She wasn't fed anything. She got out there and got it out the mud, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As a black woman, I definitely respect it.
Absolutely.
If my thing is, if you're gonna run for office, be serious about it. Don't just put your name on there with the hopes of like, oh, I might win, I might lose.
Right.
And she's putting a lot of groundwork and moving around the state as a Democratic option. So I salute her because she's doing a lot of work to make sure that she can actually have a chance to win.
Right. Mm-hmm. What about for the other? Do we have another Senate race?
No, that's the only Senate race in Arkansas, but you do have one congressional race, and that's in 4. Not really much to talk about there. I'm going to leave it at that. Not much to talk about. Of course, Bruce Westerman is our congressman, but he has a Democratic challenger and a Libertarian.
Okay.
So that race is not really. I don't talk about that race.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't talk about.
I understand.
Yeah. It's on the ballot.
It's on the ballot.
Everybody. Now, one thing. Let me say this. It's pretty easy to do your research on these candidates. Everything is Googleable. Like you said, everything is Googleable.
Right.
But in addition to that, the news outlets in Arkansas have done a really good job, don't you think, Osyrus? Covering these candidates.
Yeah. I really think so.
I've seen a lot of coverage up and down the ballot. And I don't know if I'm just paying attention more or what, but they are doing a really good job. And then the debates that
PBS?
PBS, yeah, those debates. It's out there, and I know one of the things, social media, everything's on social media, so you're seeing, debates and so there's a lot of information. So we always want people to be empowered voters, be knowledgeable about voting, and so it's out there. People don't have to go to the polls and not know what's up,
Yeah.
So
you can get out if you're wanting to find out information about who's running and things of that. You can go to different websites. Like you said, it's Googleable.
Right, it's Googleable. Let me give your listeners a website and viewers where I am right now on my cell phone, and I'm looking at my sample ballot. www.voterview.org. www.voterview.org, and that's one word, VOTERVIEW. And you put your name, your date of birth, and it will bring up your ballot, so you can see all the up and down the ballot who's on. So before you go in to vote, you know who's on the ballot.
So are those all the candidates that's running? Because I want to give each section on there a good run through.
Right. Well, one I do want to mention Commissioner of State Lands, Goldie Gaines. Have you heard her name? Goldie?
I have. I've heard a lot of great things about her.
She's out. She's out around the state. She is the Democratic challenger to Tommy Land, who's Commissioner of State Lands now. So he's the Republican, Commissioner of State Lands, So she's really she's out. She's working hard. Let's put it that way. She's out. She's working hard. And I see a lot of this on Facebook, social media, and that type of thing. So I do see her out. What else, Osyrus?
I definitely seeing Goldie Gaines out. We talking about another black woman that is on the ballot. It's an opportunity to have some representation in a position that we haven't seen before.
Right, that'll be the first one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and so I think it's very important that we check her campaign out. I voted for her, so I'll say that on the radio.
And I'm going to vote for her.
Yeah, and so I think definitely it's an opportunity to have some representation as far as us, black people, for a position that's very important, the Commissioner of State Land. So.
Right, I want to go over and tell me if I veer off or if I'm wrong. The Commissioner of State Lands is responsible for all the land that the state owns. So even when something is sent back or your family is behind on taxes, she's the person who's responsible for running that show.
Right, notifications.
So you want to be mindful of that. Let's say somebody's in office now and you're behind on taxes and you didn't know. And they say, well, we're not going to send out notifications via whatever. We're just going to put it in the paper. And you lost your property.
Right.
Now somebody like Goldie, she's going to say, hey, no, we need to make sure they got all this information everywhere.
Right. Oh, yeah, she'll definitely be looking out for us.
Right.
For Arkansans, let's put it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna be no shady stuff.
And oftentimes, our other friends want to limit that communication because they want you to lose your property.
Personal interest.
Yeah, over taxes. So once again, this is why it's important to make an informed decision and a good decision, because when we pay taxes, we've been paying people out of our pockets to represent us. And so if you want if you've been in that position where you had delinquent taxes on your property, you want somebody that you feel like understands your plight, that, you might not have that money right now, but you don't need to have your property taken away from you.
Right.
Or if you just simply made a mistake, hey, I forgot to pay my property taxes on this. We don't need somebody who's just going to come up in there and power grab and snatch your property just because they want something for the moment,
Because they will and they have.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
That's part of the reason why we see gentrification a lot of times in our
Right,
communities
right,
too, as well.
Right.
Don't let your grandma house go.
That's right.
Yeah,
Don't let your grandma house go. Even if you just paying taxes on it and it's sitting there, go cut that grass about once a month. Or holler at the little homie in the neighborhood to keep the grass cut.
yeah.
Pay them property taxes.
Pay them property taxes
till you figure out what you can do.
till
with
you
it. Yep.
till you figure it out.
You know, it's so much air property out there in Arkansas. It's
Yeah.
just
Well,
it's complicated. Air
It
property
is-
gets
it
complicated.
is. It gets in
complicated.
probate court and all these different things, and you get to arguing over it. But the reality of it is this property. First of all, your family worked hard for that.
Right.
Second of all, it's generational wealth. So let's say it might take you $5,000-$10,000 to get this property up to code. You go ahead and rent it out.
Yeah, it's worth it.
That's an extra $500-$600, $1,000 a month. You may not want to live there, but at least you can rent it out.
Right.
Or you and your brothers and sisters or somebody in your family could live there.
Right.
But we're not thinking like that. We
Yeah.
want to go live in West Little Rock or in Benton and Bryant so we can send our kids to
So you don't want that art go there, huh?
then we get mad when something happened,
Right.
but we done left.
Yeah.
How you gonna get mad about something happening in your neighborhood, in your community,
And you gone.
that you ain't even in no more?
Right.
But you mad how it's looking. You left
Right.
because you felt safer there.
Well, it's the mentality of some of our cousins.
Right.
it's the
Our cousins.
our cousins. Yeah.
I say it.
Yeah, it's our
Then
cousins.
we get mad. We go to Fayetteville or somewhere and get mad
Yeah.
when they ain't including us.
Right.
Or when they ain't treating us nice.
Right.
Then you want to hype to the high heavens how they treated you. Oh, they been mean to me. Well, you knew they didn't like you.
Right.
That's why when my boy said when Curtis Thomas the Supreme Court Justice,
Clarence
Oh,
Thomas.
Clarence.
Clarence Thomas. Yeah. Yeah.
that's my cousin too.
Yeah. Yeah. Cuz.
Yeah, we might not
care
like him.
for it. We might deal with him
That's our
with
cousin
the
with
arms
the ugly
lifted
wife.
away. Right.
Some of our cousins got some ugly wives. I don't know what they had over them. Hey, Clarence, if you maybe Clarence is like potato salad with
Raisins.
with
in it.
raisins in it. Clarence like his chicken salad with doggone me pecans and grapes. I don't understand it, but he's got in this position. He says he don't even know what diversity is.
Yeah, I heard that.
He don't know
he
what
doesn't.
diversity. What you mean? What diversity is why you got the job you got.
Right.
Reagan, wasn't it Reagan who put him in office?
No,
It was a Bush.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
No, I think it was Reagan.
Okay, maybe.
I
so.
could be wrong. Reagan or Bush Senior
Uh-huh.
said, "Hey man, we need to make this thing look a little different."
I thought that whole confirmation thing with him and Anita Hill that happened in the '90s. I thought.
So it may have been Bush Senior.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But
Yeah.
Either
here nor
or.
there. Yeah, neither.
Neither one of them was our homeboys either.
Yeah.
There wasn't even the partner down the street. Wasn't even my
Nowhere
cousin's
close.
homeboy.
No.
Nah, man, they not for us, man. And that's what bothers me so much about so much of this. These people aren't for us.
Yeah.
I'm always frustrated about our mindset behind voting.
Right.
Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I hope people start to understand the importance of why they trying to take our voting rights away and why we need to vote. I always go early vote if I can. It's literally takes less than 10 minutes if I'm not running my mouth talking to somebody I ran into.
Right.
And in just that 10 minutes, I'm making a decision that affects my community, my family, my friends, and we're picking the people who are going to represent us over the next 2, 4, however many years. You know, so many different things that people have to consider. We're not just talking about presidential candidates. We're talking about our next justice of peace, our judges, our school boards, our mayors. We're talking about the people that they're going to appoint to their positions, like you mentioned, as far as like police chief. We're talking about our city directors, our aldermen. And so these are the people, when we pay our taxes, our tax money goes to part to paying their salaries. And they're making decisions, and when we complain about things happening and we don't understand it or we didn't hear about that, it's a direct reflection of what happens at the polls, happens during the voting locations. And so I just want people to understand, like, when we talk about things like raising the minimum wage, we talk about recreational marijuana, we talk about even casinos, we talk about school takeovers and who our school board represents, what our school board representation looks like. These are just a few things that we have the opportunity to make choices on. And if you don't think those things are important, then I don't know what I can do to convince you that they aren't. I mean, that they are. But if you really do think that they are, then you should make some time just to do a little research and go make the right decision to go vote. There's so many things we could talk about why it's important to vote.
Right.
Ancestors fought for us
There
to
you
vote.
go.
They continue to try to take our voting rights away all the time. Whether you formerly incarcerated individual, maybe whether you've been purged from the ballot, you can look all over the nation and see how many people they have taken away the rights to vote for and how it pisses off people, you know, all the time. You can see people who have tried to go vote that they have given prison sentences to.
Right.
Just because they just want to just voice their, you know what I'm saying, use their voice to make a vote. So
and using the prison sentencing and things of that nature is scare tactics.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So all I can say is it's very important to vote. I guarantee you there's something going on in your life that's directly related to some elected official. A politician gonna sign your birthday, your death certificate, everything in between politics.
That's
Right.
right. That's right.
Even from the roads on the street.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The mayor picks who works for the street department.
That's right.
Yep.
So not only we're talking about the streets, we're talking about opportunities.
Right. Yeah, and we want people to understand, like Osyrus said, politics impacts all of our lives in every area.
Every
you know,
area.
in every area. Because we decide as voters, we decide who is going to represent us. That's why if people are complaining or what have you, and they hadn't voted, I don't have time to engage with them.
Right.
Because they didn't vote. The vote is something that is so sacred. Just a short story, when my grandmother was coming down with Alzheimer's and we was kind of preparing, and the one thing she told me, she says, make sure I always vote. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And then she told me she wanted to vote for a Democrat. It better be a Democrat. But her thing was, make sure I always vote. That was the one thing she wanted me to remember. Of all the things she could have said, that's what my grandmother, and until she died, she voted. You know, I made sure she voted.
Yeah, that was,
And
that's
it was
important.
powerful. But it was so important to her that she voted. But of course, she lived to see the struggle. You know, she lived through that.
She knew what
and
we was
she
going
knew
through.
what we were going through, and
Right.
she knew the price. And too many of us are removed from the price that was paid for us to have this right. We fought for this.
Agreed.
And our ancestors and our grandmothers, grandfathers, and our elders, they fought for us to have this right to vote.
Agreed.
And so we have got to use this right, because like I say, there's impact in our lives, whether it's the streets we drive on, and people complaining about county roads and potholes. They go to they justice of the peace, the county judge, you know. But you need to have a voice in who that person is and know what they stand for. And then we got to hold them accountable. And we have got to do a better job
Got to.
at holding
Absolutely.
elected officials accountable.
Absolutely.
I have friends that are elected officials. I hold them accountable. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know, something come up. I'm like, okay, what was that vote about?
Why?
You know?
Why
Yeah,
would
what
you
was
do
that? Why
Who did you consider when you did that?
Exactly. Who did you talk to? You
Who,
know.
did you go holler at any of your constituents?
Right. So we have to do that. We've got to do a better job in our community as a whole to hold people accountable. We need to attend school board meetings, what do you call them? Quorum court meetings, city
yeah.
council meetings. We need to, we need to be involved.
And I'll add this to it. A lot of us are frustrated because we don't see the direct effect of voting. I'll say this. There is no way possible that voting alone is going to fix the plight of our community.
There's going to be more than voting.
It's just one tool.
It's
That's
just one tool.
That's right. I'm
There
sorry.
are so many tools that we need to fix our community.
Right.
It's not voting. That's like fixing a flat. It's just going to fix a flat tire. You got a flat tire. You got to have a jack.
Yeah.
You got to have a 4-way lug. You got to have all these things. You got a spare.
Yeah.
And so right now, when you say, "Well, we're not going to vote," or not voting, you going to fix a flat tire. You don't have you don't have a part of it.
Right.
Our community is stuck on the side of the road, and we need somebody. We need the only way we're gonna fix this flat tire is through voting, unity, and what else would you add?
I would just say voting. Would you say the second one was voting? Unity, and I add empowerment. We have to empower ourselves to determine our financial and our political destiny. You know, when I think about why it's so important to vote, during the pandemic, a lot of us empowered ourselves to lead at 9 to 5, to go open up our own businesses, to find other creative ways to find other streams of income, and I think that was just a direct reflection of how we always have to adapt to difficult situations,
Right.
particularly as Black people. But as a small business owner, if you in Arkansas, you're a small business owner, you need to be concerned about who the elected officials are.
That's right.
As an
That's right.
entrepreneur, why wouldn't you care about what elected officials are doing with your taxes that you're paying on your business? Why wouldn't you care about what the Secretary of State is doing and the regulations that you have to abide by as a business? Or why don't you care about who the city director or the alderman is in your area that is making decisions for your area that also affect your business?
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this right here. The mayor decides where new businesses are popping up, where jobs are going to, which business and corporations can come in town, and that affects you as a small business owner. It's either
Right.
going to work out for your good or your for the bad for your bottom line. But you need to think about that when you're electing the officials, because it affects your business as well, because it's your
Right.
city that you're living in.
And I want to include this when we say small business owners, because this is the Real Underground Radio
Small
station.
business.
This is a small business. Well, we're not small, but
Yeah.
we're international. We got international.
compared to a corporate radio
right.
station.
Right. Small
Right.
business. Right.
But I'll tell you who else are small businesses. Artists.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you come over here to record an album, you're a small business.
Yeah.
Our on the wall downstairs, when you walk in, all those plaques, those are small businesses. Someone invested in it. Someone did the work. You went out there, you sold the product, you performed the product. So we are a representation of small businesses.
And another thing, like you said, I'm an artist too as well, so I get tax statements and checks on what I do with my music. But we got elected officials that's working right now, even in Arkansas and around the South, to change the way that artists perform in venues. They're trying to
Speak on that a little bit, go in depth.
I can try to go as in depth as I can, but these artists perform in different venues around towns, and the record labels are like coming down on these local venues for playing music that they don't own the rights to, because saying when your song gets played somewhere, it goes to that satellite, it scans on SoundScan. That's how you get money off your streams. When venues allow you to come up in there and make money doing shows, that's how you make money as an artist. But a lot of these labels don't want to support local artists like that. So what they want to do is charge venues that you perform in town tons and tons of money for you to register as basically another satellite, basically as a radio station, to have music played up in there. And the fees for that type of stuff, because arenas and places like that pay those type of fees. That's why they charge so much for their concerts. But the fees to pay that type of stuff goes into the thousands.
Wow.
And most local venues and bars can't afford to pay that type of stuff for basically to be a satellite or a venue. They can't afford that type of money because it's thousands and thousands of dollars because they're small business owners. Now, Simmons Bank Arena can pay those type of fees. That's why they can have Rick Ross or, Lil Baby or somebody come through there. They can afford that. Metroplex can afford that. They want to make those same type of fees apply to local bars and local clubs. And if they do that, then think about how the local underground music scene, not just hip hop and rap, R&B, but country music, reggae music.
It's going to suffer.
Yeah, because where you going to perform at? Outside?
Oh, wow.
So politicians they're working right now to try to make local bars and clubs who play music and have venues that are where artists perform, even cover music, to pay those type of fees that they would apply to an arena.
And not only that, Osyrus, holding artists accountable for the lyrics.
Yep.
In Georgia right now, that's why they got Thug and Gunna locked up right now. Now, and they're part of their trial is because of the lyrics.
And who's over that? The prosecuting attorney.
And is the prosecuting attorney
That's somebody
Elected
you elect,
official.
an elected official.
Elected official.
So for instance, even right now here in Arkansas, we have Tim Griffin running for attorney general. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultra conservative. Let's say Tim Griffin gets in office and you get caught up in something and he goes back, listens to and you're an artist. He goes, listens to your lyrics and says, well, I'm going to put this part of your trial. You convicted yourself right here when you said it. Tim Griffin is up for election.
Yeah.
Attorney General, State Attorney General.
And the city prosecuting attorney. You know,
Right.
those are the people who make the next laws. Those are the people who are going to make the next laws, the prosecuting attorney in your town. So if you got a prosecuting attorney in your town that is basically all about mass incarceration, then all the local policies will be in favor of locking people up, not giving people second chances, making sure they present whatever material they can to judges to lock up people or force them into pleas, basically. Now, if you got somebody that's a prosecuting attorney who wants to work on reform on a criminal justice level, wants to give people second chances, wants to help youth into getting diversion programs in their community, you'll see that. But if you want somebody that's going to always talk about being tough on crime and always trying to lock people up for every little mistake they're talking about, your mayor and your city prosecuting attorney
Steve Landers.
are the people who are making those decisions.
That's
Right now, Steve Landers is running for office, and part of his thing is for the violence in Arkansas, in Little Rock. We're at 70 murders now. He says that we need more police.
That's not the answer.
Like you just said, do you think Steve Landers is going to work on any diversion programs, any preventative programs,
Intervention.
any intervention, anything like that?
Yeah.
Steve Landers is, you know what? The FOP says, hey, Steve, go ahead and win. When you win, Steve, we're going to get more police. We're going to get more police. Tougher on crime means instead of saying, now we're not saying we don't want things to change in our community.
Right. Oh, yeah. Too many murders. Yeah,
We don't like that.
No.
We want change as well.
Absolutely.
It's how we go about change. This, again, and we're not saying voting is the end all be all. Remember, we got a flat tire. We're stuck on the side of the road. Voting is the four-way jack, the four-way lug.
Right.
We still got to find a tire. We still got to have a jack. Voting is the four-way lug. That's how we start taking pieces off. If we don't get out and vote, we're just gonna be stuck on the side of the road.
Right, right. And another thing, back to I know Osyrus said empowerment, which is very powerful, but also I'm back to this civic engagement. It doesn't stop at voting. We've got to be engaged, and I've already said this. I'm just kind of reiterating that we've got to have people involved at every level. We got to have people holding all elected officials accountable, talking about the issues that are impacting their community, because what's happening in Southwest Little Rock may be different from West Little Rock or whatever. You see what I'm saying? So we have a responsibility as citizens to be engaged, to talk to our elected officials and make sure they know how we feel about these issues.
Right.
And so people will say to me, well, I'm just not into that or into this. Well, find what is your area. What are you into? And be engaged in that,
All right, I agree. And before we go any further, I want us to definitely go over these 4 different
ballot measures.
Right.
Right.
My favorite, we're going to start with ballot 1, but so
Okay.
I'm going to let y'all look up these ballots. I'm going to play this commercial for us. This is your boy Big Nate with the Real Underground Radio Station. This NATELOGIC, baby.
We all know how it works. People in our community are 5 times more likely to be sent to prison. But we can change that by voting for Issue 4. Issue 4 is an initiative to reform Arkansas's drug laws. It will safely legalize cannabis, but only in small amounts, and only for adults over 21. So fewer people end up in jail or with a criminal record for a petty marijuana arrest, because one mistake shouldn't last a lifetime.
Paid for by Responsible Growth Arkansas.
We all know how it works.
Who's my favorite what, man? Vote for 4, baby. Vote for 4. Hey, man, this your boy Big Nate with the Real Underground Radio Station. We got to make sure y'all out here voting for 4, baby. Vote for 4. Hey, man, so we're going to go over some of these ballot measures and things like that. It's important that we also understand how important these are and that we stay in tune. So what do we have? I think how many ballots? We got 4.
4 ballot measures.
4 ballot measures. So what was ballot measure number 1?
Oh, want me to do one? You want to do it? You go. You do number 1.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna keep it short and simple.
Right.
Voting issue number 1. I don't have the name of the title of what it's called, but I can tell you it's basically would allow legislators to call their own special sessions.
What?
And so right now we have a legislative session every 2 years. We start out with the 93rd or 94th General Assembly's legislative session in January 2023. That usually happens from January to about March, April, and then sometimes it's extended and they take a break. The only person who can call a session after that General Assembly happens is the governor, in case there's a need to do something else. If we vote for issue 1, it would give that power to the legislators, and they can be in session whenever they feel like it because they could just vote on it. And that'd be crazy to me because you can get what you get done during a legislative session and just meet whenever the governor sees a need to meet. We could be in session all year long if it's up to our legislators.
And especially our legislators most likely are conservatives.
Yeah.
And they want to vote on conservative measures
They
that
can-
often neglect or ignore black folks.
Yeah, and even just in my mind, they could do things where they would call a special session just to vote on something they particularly want to get passed, and it fails, and just call another session and rewrite it or put it in an interim study, call it something else, and vote on the same thing over and over again until it passes, and that's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Issue 1,
Vote against.
vote against it, it's going to say for or against it on the ballot, vote against issue 1.
And
No
the
for
bottom
one.
yeah, right. And the bottom line, it's a power grab of the
Right.
legislature. And let me say this to your listeners: the legislature referred issue 1, 2, and 3. All 3 of those were referred to the people by the legislature. The only one that was referred by a citizen, that's a citizen-led initiative, is issue 4. So I just want your listeners to understand that these were legislators that put forth issues 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, that means that when you see people out trying to get those signatures for the petitions to put some on the ballot, like minimum wage or casinos, that's citizens led.
Yeah.
The legislators don't
They don't
go
have
through
to do
that
that.
process. They don't need to get petitions signed to put something on there. They just vote
It's a
on it,
vote.
and then they put it on there.
And can I ask y'all a question? And
Sure.
maybe y'all don't know. With the current, as I said earlier, we live in a very conservative state, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, our state is pretty much dead last in everything. On average, these legislators, how long have they been in office? Some of these guys have been in.
Well, yeah, career
Career
Some of 'em.
politicians,
Well,
right?
let me break this down. We do what's the word? Term limits.
Term limits.
We do have term
we
limits,
do
okay.
have term limits in Arkansas. First of all, however, and I don't know the term limits right off the top of my head, but we do have term limits. But they can still serve wazoo years.
Yeah.
You know, so if a legislator wants to serve X amount of years, and let's just say 10 terms, that could be 20 years. There may be a cutoff at 6 terms. I'm not for sure. But here's my point. They can serve the maximum, leave the legislature, and come back. You know, they got to be elected now. They got to be elected.
Oh my God!
But there's a path for them to come back.
So
Okay?
they can
so
do
they
it
can
for a
serve in the
life.
House. Yeah, they can serve in the House. Then they can run for Senate. You know, win that and serve out. You know, as long as they're reelected. So although we have term limits in Arkansas, understand there is a path for legislators.
To do it forever.
Almost.
Forever.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say forever, but yeah.
Well, and the reason why I say that is
Uh-huh.
because these guys that are running for these offices, that's making these amendments and
Mm-hmm.
trying to pass these laws, have consistently shown us that they
Yeah.
don't care.
Right.
They don't care about poor people.
right.
I'm not just going to say black people.
But poor people, period.
They don't care about poor people.
Marginalized people.
Marginalized people, brown people, they care about their constituents
The bottom line.
that help them get in position.
Yeah.
They will use poor people, poor white people, to have them thinking that black people or brown people or Mexican people or whoever is trying to take from them.
Right.
Instead, it's them who's taking from them.
Right. Right.
It's them who has not well represented them.
Yeah, they do a very good job of getting that demographic of people to vote against their own interests.
It is weird.
It's crazy.
And it's
And we see it all.
well,
the
here's
time.
why. Here's why. It's what that demographic has that
Mm-hmm.
we don't have. They trust each other. They believe in each other. They don't think Trump is against them.
Yeah.
But little do they know Trump wouldn't even shake their hand as a unit. But like Trump said, I could stand in the middle of the street and shoot somebody and they would still believe me because they trust their leaders. Imagine if Barack had that type of
Right.
acceptance. Oh, Barack said go vote. I'm out here.
Right.
Imagine then. So I don't want to dwell on this.
Right.
Issue number 2.
So issue number 2 is this one is also referred by the legislature. It was referred by the legislature, and what it does, it is what it would do right now in Arkansas. Citizen-led initiatives, once they get on the ballot, can pass with 50% plus 1 vote. That's the formula, 50% plus 1. That's the way it has been for 100 years in Arkansas. It works. It's called direct democracy. It gives us an opportunity to get things done at the ballot where we can't get things done in the legislature. Now, with this, if issue 2 passes, we will now have to reach a 60% threshold. So it makes it more challenging for organizations like ours. We're at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, and other grassroots organizations, marginalized groups, minority groups, what have you, to have this success at the ballot. It just creates barriers. And so that's why it's important that we vote against. I mean, we've taken the position at our job. We have a whole coalition working with groups all across the state of Arkansas, pushing a vote against issue 2. And hopefully your listeners will be hearing ads on your radio station by Friday about this. But yeah, it's what it does, it's unfair to grassroots organizations. It's not, what's the Latin term? People rule. Yeah, our motto. The motto in Arkansas is the people rule. Okay? How do we rule? 50% plus 1. We need a simple majority. We got the minimum wage increase. I want to give an example so people know what I'm talking about. Citizens got the minimum wage passed in Arkansas with the 50% plus 1.
What was this before the citizens did this? What was the minimum wage? Was it like $7.25?
Something like that. $7
So what is it now?
$11.
So, and that was something that the people done.
The people voted.
We
on
signed
that.
petitions to make that happen.
Right. And that's direct. See, that's direct democracy. Now, had it just been up to the legislature, they wouldn't have passed that.
And then let me add something, because I want to make sure we speak on that, because some people think that voting does nothing.
Oh.
Voting, had not we started voting, we wouldn't have got from. And this is recently, within the last 3 or 4 years. Had we not been voting, we'd still be at what? $7.25 an hour.
Right. That's
this is within the last 3 years. We got minimum wage to from $7.25 to $11 $11.
Now, Arkansas. Now, one of the things I will say about Arkansas, we're one of the states that's near the top, maybe the top 10, as far as minimum wage. We fought for that
because Alabama still is at $7.25.
I believe it. Yeah.
And we did that by voting.
The people did that.
The
people did that.
Right.
Now, we had good success with that, but it was it did pass with like 68% of the vote. So even with a higher threshold, it would have passed. But we've had other measures, medical marijuana. That was a citizen-led initiative that passed at the ballot with a simple majority. So our goal is to keep that formula at 50% plus 1. The people who wrote the bill or the amendment, they want to make it harder to amend the Arkansas Constitution.
They playing checkers. They playing chess.
Yeah.
They playing chess for real.
Right.
Chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
They are playing a real game of chess.
Absolutely.
So they understand that and the people that it is beyond me.
But another thing, let me just let your viewers understand this with the minimum wage. After the people voted, and I don't know, what was it, 2018, whenever it was, I can't remember. But check this out though, Nate. After the people voted, of course, the election's in November. The legislative session starts mid-January. Do you know by mid-February, some legislators, not all, there were some key legislators trying to undo what we had done at the ballot box? Oh yeah. So it's gonna always.
So when you go around here talking about voting don't matter, go ahead and go sign up for that $7.25 hour job.
That's right. That's right.
Go sign up for that.
And the increments. And let me say this on minimum wage: it came in increments. It wasn't just from 7.25 to 11. It was increments. It was like $1 here, $1 here.
I
So
remember. And
yeah,
it's still
yeah.
increasing to this day, I think.
Well, I know it's at 11. I know we're at $11 right now.
Right. And I
So
think it's supposed to get all the way to 15.
that would be good. I don't know.
It's
That wasn't.
not going to get that high here.
Not gonna get that high?
Not yet. Not yet. There you go. Not yet.
yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Well,
But-
I mean, change happens.
Right.
The more we get involved,
right. But we can do it though.
we can do it.
We can do
if
it.
we got it
can
from
get
11, if we got it from 7, we can get it
Seven.
to
We can
15.
do that.
All right.
Exactly.
We
can
got
do
to
that.
get in line and do our
Exactly.
part.
But we got to register.
Right.
We got to vote. We got to be involved.
Right. Issue number 3. Where we at with that?
Issue number 3, I'm going to simplify it
Yeah.
once again because it's called like the Religious Freedom Act, which will make you think that it's something positive, but it's really not. Basically, it's allowing religion in Arkansas to trump everything that the government has going on. And when I say that, this is something that mainly would affect everybody because you could use that excuse for religion to abuse people for freedom of expression, and it's basically something that's going to burden the government by like saying that religion is prioritized over the law. And so, the separation between church and state is real. And so like I'm against that because it's going to allow for things like when it's a pandemic and we don't need to be in public places on a pub or at a public place because it can be a super spreader. It's going to allow people to say, "Hey, my religion gives me the right to have 5,000 people in this building right now. You can't stop me from having 5,000 people in this business."
It's
Or
crazy.
my religion says that I can't marry black folks. Or black folks can't come to my
It
business.
could get to that.
It could
It could
get,
get to
it
that.
could
Right.
get- Or I don't have to serve you.
Right.
I don't
because
have to.
I don't. Yeah. Or
Because
because of your.
Yeah, you're
You
a
know,
Muslim, and I
you-
don't agree with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't come in my business, and
Or because you're gay or lesbian or whatever. I don't.
it could
I have
get
to bake you a cake.
yeah, it could get to
Yeah,
that point.
yeah.
and when
It
people,
could.
yeah,
It's
and when-
dangerous, y'all.
Yeah, and so when people, when you put redundant and vague language in like initiatives and ballot measures, it's gonna lead to confusion with the people, and it's gonna burden the taxpayers, the people in that community. You don't need to like start mixing in religion and government
You can't.
because it's not a good look.
And again, like I said, I've been saying this. These people playing chess,
Yeah.
and we still
Yeah.
playing checkers.
You
Right.
got the right to be to be involved, whatever religion, whatever spiritual faith, school of thought you want to already.
Right. We already had that
But
freedom.
yeah, but you can't be using everything as far as like religion to try to run everybody's life and to disrespect and abuse people.
And the origins of that came from COVID.
Yeah.
Because there were pastors and that didn't want to follow the what was it, social distancing guidelines
Yeah.
that was issued by the CDC and all of that, and people saying
It's so
you know,
weird though that they don't want the government running their life, but they sure don't mind running other folks' life.
right, exactly,
It's weird.
exactly. It's
That is
crazy.
weird.
Yeah, it's a lot of hypocrisy in
It is.
in
It is.
in that level. It's a lot of hypocrisy.
So we got my favorite one, the last one, my favorite ballot measure.
Where's
Vote for 4. Now, I probably don't want to shoot myself. My only question about this one, about issue number 4, is where they're legalizing cannabis or marijuana, a small amounts. I believe. How much can you have on you at a time for them not to use?
1 ounce.
I think it's like something around that, like an ounce or
An
something.
ounce of weed without them saying nothing to you. That's a lot of weed.
It's enough.
It's enough to get you where you trying to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an ounce. It's not a whole lot.
So when there's some. My only con to this is, are they going to make this where if you caught a weed charge,
Expungement.
are they doing any expunging?
Sadly, no.
It's not in there.
It's not.
Are
It
they-
should be.
If you locked up for weed right now, are they gonna say, well, it's free now? It's not free. It's legal now. You can come on home.
It's not gonna do that.
That's what we'd like for it to do that,
And that's
but it does not. Do
That would have made it.
Vote-
That would have made it amazing.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vote no on issue 1, 2, and 3.
Right. Vote
There
no.
are pros and cons to issue 4 in my
Right.
opinion.
Right.
Pros and cons, but the
Right.
pros outweigh the cons
To some people.
To some people.
to some people.
Right, right,
I'll say that.
right,
I'll agree
right,
with that.
Right.
And for me to know that these things, another con, and I mean, I'm just being honest.
Right. Right. Right.
Not
right.
saying I'm against it. I'm still for
Right,
it.
right.
Another con is I'm concerned with the funding of the police.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That scares me.
Right.
Anytime you got to lead with, hey, we're going to give police more money. No, tell me more. We're going to give more money to fund. We're going to fund more after school programs. We're going to fund more preventative programs, diversion
Right.
programs, not critical thinking, but conflict management programs. Tell me that.
That would've
Don't
been
tell
a-
me you're finna go militarize the police some more.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why it's important, you know what I'm saying, that when you put these citizen-led initiatives out there, you have community input. You know, anybody that's for recreational marijuana cannabis will tell you that the first thing you need to do is let's clear all these people who got past convictions so they can have clean records, because now, you know, if you using it to make money off of it, why not clear my history and my past for it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is critical for everybody to have community input on things like this. You know what I'm saying? Like with marijuana in particular, I agree with you. The police shouldn't receive a ton of funding from recreational marijuana. Why? Because they received a lot of funding to go lock people up for marijuana already. Why are we giving them more money? Because people are getting to smoke it recreationally.
Right. And if now you're not going to have to lock people up for petty stuff.
Right.
An ounce, you got to let me go home.
Yeah.
Right.
You shouldn't need no more. You should be able to say, well, I can focus. Instead of giving me that money, now you can take that money and put it somewhere else.
Right.
You can focus
Yeah.
on other things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And another thing that I feel like it should have addressed is the fact that this is for 21 and up.
Right.
So even as an adult, 18, 19, 20-year-old, it's still illegal for you to have.
Right.
And I feel like the penalty should have been in place for whenever somebody got caught with a little bit of marijuana, it still shouldn't be the same type of guidelines that sending people to prison today.
Right.
Agreed.
It should be
Right.
It should be a citation or
Something.
or
Yeah.
throw it away or something like that.
But
You know,
I-
one of the things that the drafters of 4 say is that it's a start.
Right. Agreed.
That's what they say.
And
It's
I
a
agree
start.
with that. It's a
yeah.
start.
Now I'm very troubled that there's no expungement. They say there's decriminalization, but you know, time will determine if
Time
there's
will tell,
time
right.
will tell. So, but we are clear. We Osyrus and I definitely agree. Issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. We are adamantly against, and we encourage your listening audience to vote against issue 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Issue 4.
I'm for it. Vote for 4.
Make your own decision.
Yeah.
Now, could it
Yeah.
been better? Yes.
Yeah,
I
it could have
agree.
been better. Yeah.
But I'll
yeah.
take what we got and let's
As-
make it better.
as a start.
Yeah.
And let's make it better by being involved.
Right.
Let's make it better by holding people accountable. Let's say, hey, we voted for it. You got it on the books. Now, how do we make it better?
Right.
How do we make sure that the right people in the right places, who when funding start going out, that those people are making those decisions that include our community?
Right. Maybe Osyrus and I can be at the table when they draft.
Yeah, when they call me,
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna tell them, hey, y'all need
yeah.
to call them too.
Yeah, because we got to have some community input.
We got to have
We
some
got
community
to.
input
Yeah.
because hopefully they'll go back and say we got to get some expunging going
That's
on.
got to.
We got to get some. Make sure you're not going to buy the police department a whole new tank.
Right.
Yeah. They'll do that.
They'll do that.
They'll do that and use it on us.
I've literally seen a tank ride down my street.
Right.
It's not a
Yeah.
game. They getting
Yeah.
military type funding and military.
We do not need a militarized police.
No.
We need
No.
a police officer who's not afraid.
We ain't got
to
no
go in the
war.
community.
We ain't got no war going on.
No.
We need police officers who feel comfortable with walking through the community.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
driving,
Right.
but walking.
Right.
We need police officers who live in their community. So instead of giving the police more money to buy a tank, hey, police, Mr. Bobo man, we'll buy you a home in this neighborhood.
Right.
So now you can stay in this neighborhood to make Lil Pookie. Lil Pookie got to go to Mr. Bobo man, the policeman, stay right here. He ain't for all that loud hoop to hoop.
They make enough money to buy their own homes.
They do, man.
Yeah, good.
Hey, I thought about that when I agreed to that.
I agree with you. They make enough money, but I still would like to see if a police officer lives in your neighborhood, you're gonna have a whole.
So
my neighbor is a police officer.
So let's make some residency requirements, because I know one thing. If you think you're a rogue police officer and you think you can abuse people and be corrupt,
and you need to go live in Bryan,
and then go live out there, but you got to see me every day if you're gonna be dirty,
right?
And then guess what you got to deal with? Accountability,
right?
You know,
you can't come here beat on me and then move out there to ward.
Nah, you got to come right back to the same neighborhood.
Go to
guess
cabin.
what? These folks gonna be in the neighborhood looking for you if you do something wrong.
Right.
So just fly right.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
You call it blackie bashing. You go back to cabin. Go bash on me a blackie and then come home. No, buddy. This your boy Big Nate. This is a real underground radio station. Come here. You got anything?
Yeah, just go vote.
Go vote, baby.
Vote.
Big Brother Bolly, man. What's up, man? You got anything, dog?
And just get activated. Go vote.
Let's get activated.
You know what I'm saying? Let's make sure we have a community input, community talks, and you know what I'm saying, whatever we can't figure out, you know what I'm saying, let's just sit down and be mindful. Let's stop and think together so we can advance our community and our people.
Hey, man. Hey, this is the real underground radio station. This is NATELOGIC, baby. Hey, y'all know what? It's the 870 show coming up, man. We got something to talk about. Osyrus, if you want to stay, because it's finna get real if you want to stay, Osyrus, I might need your help. Don't leave me, man.
I don't know what y'all been talking
Hey,
about.
Don't even worry about it.
I'll be listening on the radio.
People in our community are
Ladies
5
and
times more
gentlemen,
likely to be sent to prison.
We'll be right
We
back,
can change
baby.
that by voting for Issue 4. Issue 4 is an initiative to reform Arkansas's drug laws. It will safely legalize cannabis, but only in small amounts, and only for adults over 21. So fewer people end up in jail or with a criminal record for a petty marijuana arrest, because one mistake